Hey guys, you are listening to Insights with Cathleen,
Please join us while we share our insights and experiences
with the hope to inspire you to look inside of yourself.
for the answers you already have.
As with all information we receive,
Take what speaks to you
and leave the rest.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hey guys, how you doing? It's season 3.
What?
Right? We're on season 3, right?
We are on season 3, but I can't believe it's already season 3.
I know, it's only been, I haven't been counting.
Our seasons are long.
Yeah,
Yes. And we did take a couple of weeks off.
we did. So
Yeah.
welcome back for that.
Yeah. Thank you, too, for hanging in there, waiting for us to come back with some fresh material.
Yes.
So, Sherry.
So Kathleen.
So, audience.
So audience, so people listening at home, what's up? What's good?
All right. So we left off in season 2 in talking about how it's important to really be in touch with our feelings,
Right.
With ourselves, right?
Very, very important.
And part of this journey that we're going on, we're hoping to take our listeners and our viewers along with us in hopes that they can glean some good information that helps them along their expansion and their journey
Right.
in this lifetime, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? So we started off with being in touch with your feelings,
Yes.
being in touch with what your body tells you and what's happening in there, right? And it's that helps bring us to like one of the first steps in spirituality.
Right.
Because I don't know about you, but I get questions all the time from people about spirituality and how do you do this and how do you do that? And we've made references about how people sometimes will get into what's called New Age spirituality, right? Because they want to feel powerful, they want to feel this magic, they want to feel special.
Is that what New Age spirituality kind of is?
Well, New Age spirituality, a lot of that has, they lump in the tarot card readings.
Right.
They lump in psychics and mediums and all of that. They lump that all into New Age.
Oh, okay.
And really, it's about coming outside of the brick and mortar, coming outside of the organized religion,
right.
and more into what speaks to you, being in touch with your spirit team.
Right.
Oh, what's a spirit team? Oh, I think we did cover that a little bit, right?
We glazed over it, yeah.
We glazed over it, but we'll come back to that in more detail down the road. But in essence, it's like your guardian angels. A lot of people hear about guardian angels,
Yeah.
right? It's about that. It's about that higher power that we can't see, that's not embodied, right?
Right.
That's a spirit team. It just means it's energy that's not embodied, but it's energy that's there to support us in our journey.
Right. Makes sense.
So as we go down the road here and we're going to explore this together even more and sharing it out with those who've listened.
Very excited for that, guys.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about how in this journey of life, even though we're all programmed to believe that everything is linear, like, you have January, February, March, April, May, and they all have these different numbers and it's a calendar, and then we have different years and things are progressing forward in this linear manner.
Yeah.
That when we are doing this spiritual journey, this self journey, if you will, when we're leaning towards self-healing, tapping more into those higher powers, it's not always linear. Right? So what do I mean by that? I think you know what I mean by it, because Cherry and I were having conversations this week, and I think it was just a way to tease it up. Like I really felt like our spirit team was bringing up these aha moments.
Yes.
Right?
Very much so.
As a way to also to display this idea.
Right.
Right? So as we grow and we're moving in life and moving in our journey of spirituality, and we're discovering all these things and that power that lives within us and how we have these answers, but sometimes stuff that we thought we had cleared out, all of a sudden another piece of it bubbles up and you're like, what? And it kind of propels you backwards a little bit, or it feels like it's going backwards, but in reality it's not.
Right.
The truth is it's time now that you have this new perception, this new way of living. Now it's time to look at that piece with this new perception, with this new set of eyes, because now you get more from it. And now you can see how it's interwoven into different pieces of your life and how you can start picking it out and releasing, blessing, and clearing.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And I've definitely had experience with that.
Yeah? Yes. Are you open for sharing that?
You know what, guys? Since it's you guys, I like you guys. I'm going to tell you a bit about my experience this week. So a little bit kind of like what it had to do with is the people-pleasing aspect. And I thought, okay, this is something I've gotten over. This is something I don't have to worry about. Like, I've cleared it. I've done my homework. I've went to therapy. I did it. I cleared it. So then I realized, I'm taking on a lot of responsibilities like clubs and members and just different things like that. And people are always like, hitting on my phone like, hey, how do I do this? When do I need to do that? All that stuff. And I'm like overwhelmed. I'm like, I can't answer all of these. So either I don't answer them or I answer all of them, and it's like a whole thing. So there was like that piece, and I was like, oh, I'm feeling some kind of way, but I didn't have the words to express because I was like, no, it can't be people pleasing. Like, I know how to organize my time. Maybe I'm hormonal. Maybe I'm just like hungry. Maybe it's something else. And then, I had my roommate who was like so gracious to tell me like, hey, if you could just like clean up around here a little better, that'd be great. And I was like, okay, yeah, no problem. Thanks for letting me know. And like inside I was just like, oh, I feel like I could have done that better, or I should have done it to this standard. And I'm just very in my head about it. And I was talking to you actually on the phone a little bit about that. And we just kind of, you helped me come to the
I pushed the button.
You pushed the you really did. You did. And I was, I was in my head and I was swirling a bit and I was just like, okay, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's just I'm mad, whatever, it's time of the month, whatever. And you're like, well, maybe it's that people-pleasing aspect, that old injury that you had, and it's come back. But you said it in such a way that didn't make me feel like I was regressing, because I was just like, I thought I dealt with that. And you're like, yeah, but what if you're just like seeing the different aspects? Like, things are not linear when you're having your progress and going through life and everything. Right. Just like you said, things are interwoven. And once I figured that out and you kind of helped me figure that out, I was like, oh. So I stopped lamenting over it and I stopped like, oh, what's wrong with me? But you said something afterwards, which I thought was very interesting. I don't remember what it is. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Sherry. I just do a lot of talking. I don't do a whole lot of remembering.
She did a lot of talking, and I was just like, how did she do that? But no, it was very interesting to me to see that things are not linear in a sense. It's all interwoven.
Right. So first of all, thank you very much.
Of course.
For sharing that. Yes. When Sherry and I were having that conversation, in full transparency, I channeled that answer. What's that mean? That means that because I was in touch with me and I am in touch with you, and I know a lot about your journey, that I can be open to allowing information to flow through me for your ears to hear.
Yes.
And it's out of love. It's not out of judgment. It's not out of, trying to make you feel ashamed of you, because you know what? Spirit teams don't work that way.
No.
They don't. They would never embarrass you. Definitely not through another person. Right? But they would leave just enough information to spark an aha moment within you.
Right.
But it does take you as the receiver to be open to that.
Right.
And by being in touch with our feelings, by doing some of the base work, that starts opening your heart up, that starts opening you up, that makes it a lot easier for that information to flow through. And really, we've talked about judging ourselves, right?
Right.
And we've definitely did that. I know definitely in season 1 we've talked about that. And it's important to let go of judging.
Yes, that's a big one I'm still working on.
Yeah, and you know what? We all continue to work on that. Even at my age, you in my experience, you still work on aspects of it. Right? And the key is when you are being loving of yourself, you're not judging it and putting yourself down.
Right.
And when you feel like you're going to fall into that pattern, then you need to have your mantra to shift it.
Right.
No, I'm a beautiful being. I'm a loving individual. Like, whatever that mantra could be.
Right.
What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, I remembered what I was going to say earlier about that piece and like the interwovenness. And you were saying a bit about now you can like release it.
Yes.
Which after, when you said that, that was pretty strong for me too. Because I was just thinking in my head, I was like, what do I need to do? And I'm always used to being that person who's always like, I always have to work on myself in this specific way and blah, 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 blah. And I never get the chance to just be like, no, I'm good. You can release this. And that was a big, like, second part to that conversation.
Yep. When my mom passed away, and I felt like, my family members, they all had their stuff to deal with. And,
Right.
my mom was the one who, a lot of times when I had, something that I was struggling with or
Right.
something that I was trying to work through, I would talk it out with her.
Right.
Right. And, just kind of lean on it. And sometimes her responses resonated and a lot of times they did not. But that's okay because I still got to hear the words out loud. Right. So, but when she passed on, and like I said, my family, everyone was dealing with that passing in their own way.
Right.
So I went looking for support,
Mm-hmm.
and I was connected with this nun who is a counselor who was counseling people. So she was doing a little bit of spiritual counseling and regular counseling, right?
Right.
So as I'm talking it out with her, she's just sitting back, and she's this older woman who is Irish, and she has that whole Irish attitude, and sometimes I could be brutal.
I bet.
She's sitting back there in the armchair, and her arms are crossed, and her legs are out, and she's like, you know what, Kathleen? I think you just need to stop fixing you.
Ooh.
And I'm like, what are you saying? She goes, yeah, you need to just take a vacation from that. And I'm like, I couldn't understand. Because to your point,
Right.
For me, it's been like a longer journey. Because for me, being a child of trauma, being a child of physical abuse, like sexual abuse,
Yeah.
that worthiness piece, I never knew that meant that I saw myself as unworthy.
Right.
I didn't realize at the time as I was going through it all that it's about boundaries, right? Setting healthy boundaries. I have power. I can say no. I have all these things. So I would spend all of my time working on me so that I can have a voice. So I can figure out what all of those things were that I
Right.
didn't know what they were.
Right.
Right? So, and that's where she was saying, wow, you done a great job. But in her words, right, you did a good job. You need to take a break. I'm like, but I can't. What do I do with me?
Right.
Right? And we were talking about that too.
We were talking about that because I had gone through therapy as well. And like, I'm so used to being like, this is how you fix this. This is how you, and like, that's an awesome thing. And I guess now that I've like, taking care of me, I'm so used to like getting little issues or little problems and be like, well, I have to psychoanalyze it. I have to pick it apart. I have to like obsess over it because I have nothing. Not that I have nothing else to do, but I'm so used to doing the fixing that I'm like.
And what did I tell you about that?
I forget.
Thank you for your honesty.
It was something about, you said a little bit about kind of like the workaholic that goes on vacation and they keep working, but you just kind of have to tell yourself like, hey, everything's fine. I'm calm. I'm well. And I don't like need to obsess over these things like that.
Yes. So it's about that adrenaline junkie, right?
Ah, yeah.
Right. So when we're stressed,
Right.
there's the adrenaline's going up.
Right.
Or when we are feeling anxious, the adrenaline's going up. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still the same kind of chemical thing that's happening in our
Right.
body. And then all of a sudden, when things quiet down and things are calm and there's no need for that, you're almost like an adrenaline junkie. You kind of almost feel like I need to feel anxious. Wait a minute. There's something wrong with me. I'm not feeling anxious. Why am I not feeling anxious? I'm going to feel anxious about not feeling anxious.
No, I could definitely agree with that just because, the first month of school was very hard. There was just a lot of things going on and I was very on edge. And now that it's kind of like feathering away, I'm like, should I be anxious about something? Did I pay all my bills? Did I do all of this? I don't know what to do. Is anything, is the world going to explode?
Yes. So, maybe giving yourself a pat on the back instead of, right, saying, wow, look at that. I'm okay. I got this all done. This is a well-deserved break. And then tell yourself, you might have to fake yourself out, but tell yourself, this is good. Oh, this is the feeling.
The power of self-talk, guys. I'm telling you, I was the biggest naysayer. I was like, what's that going to do? But if you like me just programming myself and just saying like I am fine, all is well, and I will be fine, and this will get done. It just helps because then I'm instead of doing that because like before I would just feed myself anxious thoughts. If you didn't realize that, I didn't realize that either. When I was anxious, I'm like, this isn't gonna work. This is gonna go wrong. So just
It's a cycle.
doing the counterbalance. Like, no, I'm fine. Everything's good. It helps.
Yes, but you know how we started this conversation out about saying things are not really always linear.
Yeah.
When we are working on self, when we are in a spiritual journey, when we are in a journey of self-awareness,
Right.
it is not linear. And this is the perfect example. So like when you are having like those little anxious fits, right? We're gonna just call them that. I'm sorry, but but I love how you described how like now you've got more coming up and it's a story that's happening in your head. But that story started way back here in some other part of your life when anxiety really was a thing because you didn't feel safe because all these other things were happening around you, right?
Yeah.
And that was a coping mechanism.
Right.
But now here, you don't really rely on that so much as a coping mechanism, but every once in a while, when life happens and stress is kicking in and all of a sudden that anxiety friend is coming back to visit you and oh my goodness, it's bringing all of those old stories. Right?
That's what it felt like. It just felt like old energy of the past. And like when I was feeling this, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I was when I was 16. I don't like this.
That's because your 16-year-old self, it just showed up for you.
Don't like that.
Well, yeah. But you know what? She's still swirling.
Yeah.
See, I think that this is the part that as human beings sometimes we don't get because we're all chasing some dream. We don't even know what the dream is half the time, but we're chasing it and we're running ahead and we're running fast and we're going fast and we're going fast in this direction. Let's hurry up and grow up. Let's hurry up and get this. Let's hurry up and go to school. Let's hurry up and get a job. Let's hurry up. Let's hurry up. What are we hurrying for?
I do not know. Could you tell me?
Probably because we're hurrying to run away from ourselves. Our anxious 16-year-old self is still back there saying, I'm still feeling anxious and I'm going to come visit you every once in a while when your guard is down and when you're feeling a little stressed because then I can really get in there. And when she shows up,
I'm like,
you need to give her a hug.
No, that's nice. That is not what I didn't know what you were going to say next. I was like, oh, I'm on edge with you guys. But yeah, when she showed up and when that energy showed up, I was just like, oh, I just wanted to hide. I just wanted to bury. I just didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah. Which is normal. You hear that, guys? Sherry is normal.
Don't believe her.
You know, uncomfortable feelings. Yeah, they're uncomfortable, but there's such richness of information within that uncomfortableness. And when you're brave enough, and it takes courage.
All right.
It does. It takes a little bit of courage to really look at it. What is this? Instead of running away from what feels yucky or heavy or dense or not yummy at all, plant your feet. Ground in. Feel it. Go through it. Because it's in the going through it, you discover this richness of information that tells you more about you, and it gives you opportunity of healing, clearing, blessing, moving on. And that makes you bigger.
Ooh.
Because here's the thing. It doesn't matter what you're feeling or what that feeling is or what you're going through. It doesn't really kill you.
No.
Now, when it comes to feelings, they really cannot kill us. Well, okay. They could when you shove them down and you shove them down and you bury them and you cause this disease inside of you, then you could potentially cause a disease.
Right.
From the dis-ease.
In the body. I'm pretending I didn't know that before.
Yeah, she's pretending. I love it. I love when she plays along. It makes my life so much easier. Thank you.
No, I get what you're saying, though, because I guess for the longest time I would shove all the emotions down. I was just like, I don't want to feel it. Right. I don't want to acknowledge, the trauma I'm going. I don't want to. And then there was, a time where I felt brave enough, and I'm just like, okay, let's unpack this. why am I feeling this way? And you're right, it did show me a lot about myself and just what I was dealing with. And it was also nice because I guess for me, I never like validated my situation until like, I had a talk with you and you're like, yeah, that's valid to feel that way. And it was nice for me to validate myself and my feelings. So I just I did feel a lot bigger. I felt
Powerful.
I did. I did. I was like, oh, this situation was not my fault and I'm okay. And like, that shouldn't have, like, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was nice to just be with my feelings and be like, you know what? I am sad about this.
Yes. And you know what? And it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's all okay. We can't, I was it you or it might have been somebody else, but somebody saying to me about wanting to be happy all the time. Why can't we just have the good feelings?
Right.
Well, if we only have the good feelings, and I know I'm repeating myself, so do bear with me, but if we only have the good feelings and we don't have any bad feelings, then how do we know that they're good feelings? We cannot really fully appreciate the good feelings without all the other feelings.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I could attest to that, too, because for a while I was just on I'm either happy or I'm sad. And there was like no in between for me. But now as I've been able to open up, I get to see like the richness of all these emotions and the depth and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very cool.
Right. And then as we are opening ourselves up more and more and we're allowing ourselves to feel more and more, sometimes some of those feelings that we've buried are not feelings for today. They're feelings from, as we would in this existence deem as a while ago behind us. So that's why I say, it's not, everything is not linear.
Right.
Because you're still carrying it around. So I love this. I don't know if anybody out there is a Star Trek fan or not, but
I am. Star Trek fans, raise your hands.
So Deep Space Nine, they have an episode where Captain Sisko, for those who don't know the show, so there's this Captain Sisko, he kind of is in charge of Deep Space Nine, or becomes in charge of it. But on his journey there, or before he got there, there was a conflict, and he lost his wife during a battle, right? And she passed away, and he was so upset, and he couldn't leave. People had to drag him away because the ship's burning up, and he would die with her too. And he still has this son, and they drag him away. So now that he's at Deep Space Nine, the natives of the planet where Deep Space Nine is, they believe in these gods, and people who are part of the Federation, that's what Captain Sisko is a part of, believe them to be wormhole entities. Okay?
Oh, wow.
So Sisko has an interaction with these wormhole entities, and then they show up to him as like other people in his life, so use them as a reference for him, right, because they're not embodied beings, right, so they're just giving him this vision to relate to him in some way. And they keep asking him, why do you live here? Because in his memory he hangs on to the loss of his wife, that moment in time when he lost her. And they keep bringing him back, and he keeps getting emotional. Well, why do you keep bringing me here? And they keep asking him, well, why do you live here? So I loved, if you get a chance, I mean, I don't even know what episode that is.
Star Trek show I've been hearing about.
Or at least Google or something, wormhole entities or something with Captain Sisko. But I thought that they really displayed the concept well. Right. Right, about trying to show people about how our emotions are not linear.
No, they're not.
They're not.
They're not.
When we think back on, old memories, then that's where we're living. How we've talked about how anxiety is about, being too far in the future. Right. Depression is being in the back, right? Right. So if you're depressed and you're living back there, why do you exist there? Right. Right? So maybe there's healing that needs to happen there. Maybe there's, something that you can pull forward to the present so you can be in the present and not so stuck in the back. In what is deemed as the past. Right. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean.
I mean, it's kind of hard. It's like, what? But that's the past. But that's where you're living.
Oh, no. Trust me, I've definitely seen my share of people, and, no judgment to any of them, where they're either it feels different. Like when they're like, I wish I could just be like 17, or I wish I could just be this age. It's usually like older people that will tell me this. And it's like usually reference to there, and they're kind of like, yeah, I don't really enjoy my life now. And I was like, oh, that's kind of like sad.
Yeah, and they're not in the moment, right?
Right.
Or it could be just something as sweet as like somebody you're crushing on, and you got a kiss from that person, right? And you know, and that person's now like gone, because like your time together is
gone.
Not gone, like broken up, but like now you have to go home, and you went your separate ways to go do your life, if you will.
Right.
You know, maybe with the anticipation of coming back together, but for right now, I mean, it's such a crush, and all you do is you relive that kiss, you relive that moment that led, you know, all of those little nuances that led up to that moment. Look, you know, every little delicious part. You know, I had to say that word sometime today, right?
Yes, you did, and I'm shocked she hadn't said it yet. Thank you for that.
But you're reliving it, so you're in that moment that is really part of the past, but that's where you want to live, and that's where you're being.
Right.
And it's okay that we can reminisce on that.
Yeah.
And we can enjoy that a little bit longer because that's where we kind of are. But just don't get stuck there.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Come forward. Be in the moment, because when you're not here present in this moment,
you're back there.
You miss out on what's happening here, because then that moment is gone.
Oh, yes. I've definitely done that before. Whether I've had like a really great day with a couple of friends, and then I'm like thinking about that the next day, that I forget what happened that day, because I was so like, oh, that day was so good. So, yeah. Being present.
Yeah. So I want to thank you all for tuning in with us, that this is the very beginning, and we're only just scratching it, and we are going to go more into spirituality and how you can open yourself up to the more of the all.
That
right?
be all that be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again. Have a good night.
See you guys.
Bye. Remember, you are bigger than anything that you are going through or anything that is happening around you.